welcome back to the Football Forecast. We've got Jody Morris, we've got Quaker as well, and we are talking about Belgium because the average age on this panel is fairly young. But Kevin de Bruyne believes his side is too old to compete. I mean, they've come this far to the World Cup, and you're thinking, you got to this point, you probably will do all right. And then Jan Vertonghen's throwing something back to him saying, well, our strikers are too old as well, our forwards don't score enough goals, maybe they're too old. What is happening?
It's difficult, and when a group of players are branded the golden generation, it comes with added pressure. I think we're seeing these players at the latter stages of their prime. Eden Hazard, I'm a Chelsea fan. I absolutely love him. I think pound for pound, the most talented player to ever play for Chelsea. But he's a shadow of his former self, and it's sad to see. If you were to tell somebody like who's just got into football 3 or 4 years ago, this is the best player in the Premier League, and it wasn't really a question, they'd be shocked. You still see those flashes of brilliance, but he can't do what he used to do. Romelu Lukaku is suffering from injury. He came off the bench for them against Morocco, and Kevin de Bruyne seems generally checked out when it comes to international football. He's getting on the ball when he's trying. I don't know, he's trying to get involved, but it hasn't got the same emphasis as it does when he plays for Man City. The fact that Axel Witsel's still starting the midfield for Belgium is crazy. I think I've seen them at maybe 15 major tournaments. And their back line, to agree with Kevin de Bruyne, is too old. You've still got Alderweireld and Vertonghen, who are the centre-back partnership for Belgium. And if that is the team that you're going into World Cup trying to win the competition, and you're still calling this group of players golden generation, then you're in for a problem. So I can't see Belgium progressing out of the group, and they're in big, big trouble.
I have to agree with Kevin de Bruyne. I do think they've been together for so long, and it's almost like they've relied on the fact that this is our group, this is our golden generation, if you like, and this is our biggest chance of winning. But when you stick with groups over a period of 6-7 years, there's like we're saying, there's clear indications that some of these players are at the wrong end of their career, but also in bad form as well. And I agree, Eden is, for me, I think he's probably the third best Chelsea player of all time behind John Terry and Frank Lampard. But what we're seeing of him over the last sort of 2.5 years is really poor, and he's just not performing to the levels. I mean, if you're starting Batshuayi up front and expecting to go far in a tournament, this is someone who's been on multiple loans, not had successful loans for, I can't remember the last time he's had a successful time in football. If he's your number 9 because Lukaku's out injured, then I think you're going to have problems. And even, I hate to say it because he's one of my favourite players ever to play in the Premier League, but even Kevin de Bruyne, you look at his body language in the first couple of games, he almost looks dejected. Has he played his best? No. But at the same time, it's almost, so many times he's looking for certain passes that would probably be on at Man City, or players being on the same sort of wavelength as Kevin, and it doesn't seem to be working. So I think he's got a point in what he's saying. Should he have said it? It's probably not what you want your best player in your international team to be saying, and it clearly looks like it's ruffled a few feathers in the squad as well. So listen, I just think they're not in a great place at the minute, and I don't see them progressing.
It's a worrying sign when your best player comes out and says we're just too old. I look at Kevin de Bruyne as probably one of the best players in the world right now on form, and I look at Leo Messi at Argentina, who's probably not at the level he's been at before, but I look at his environment and I go, to be fair, his team isn't great and they rely on him so much. I mean, the previous game that they go through on, or they win, goes to him, and he sort of like pulls a rabbit out of the hat. And I'm sort of looking at De Bruyne a little bit and saying, you are at that level at the moment. I feel he also has a responsibility to try and pull a rabbit out of the hat. I hear the Michy Batshuayi debate. I hear the Eden Hazard debate, but then they do have talent like Thorgan Hazard. I do think the midfield and everything, I think it's an overage side for sure, but I don't think it's this bad. Like Morocco beat them 2-0. Morocco outplayed them. It was like watching, it was a terrible game of football.
Yeah, but you've got to give credit to Morocco as well. And if you look at it on paper, you look at Morocco's defence, Razraoui,
they're a great side.
Roman sides, Aguerd, Hakimi, that's a better back four than Belgium. So I'm not surprised that Belgium found it difficult in that game. And Kevin de Bruyne's made comments even before this about them being too old. He seems a bit disinterested. I remember he made a comment about them always playing Wales on the international stage, and it seems like he just doesn't want to be there. You rightly pointed out that Lionel Messi, when you look at the scenes after the Mexico game in the change room, that's a squad united. That's a squad that want to be at the World Cup and want to achieve. with this Belgian side, I wouldn't be surprised if this is the last tournament for De Bruyne, Hazard, Witsel, Alderweireld, Vertonghen. I can imagine there being a big clear out of this Belgian side because not only are they underperforming, they don't look like they want to be there.
This is where I sort of praise Gareth Southgate quite a lot, because we just spoke off air about Southgate protects the players that need protection. I think Roberto Martinez is still going, we can still play a 4-3-3, we can still break teams down, we can still score goals. And I think at this point, I kind of go, why don't you play Onana in front of that back four, or potentially move to a back five, Thomas Meunier at right wing back, Thorgan Hazard can play left wing back, and you find fixes. You've got a great goalkeeper as well. But I think he's sort of going, we're still good enough to go through the way we are. Would you sort of maybe lean towards a system change? Maybe that could help them out?
I think you need to change something. Now, whether that be personnel or maybe a slight tweak in formation or lineup, I'm not too sure. I think you do have to change something. I think it's not great. I mean, at this competition, we've seen plenty of not contradictions, but contrast from first games to second games, whether it be from good to bad or bad to good. In saying that, you never know. Belgium do have players that are capable of doing things, and if they go out and absolutely pump the next team that they play against, who knows what that can do to the group. But you, as a manager, and you know when you're going into a game that is kind of do or die, I would like to think that there would need to be some form of change, just to, even if it's to reinvigorate a few of the players, because like we've all said, they do have class players, but they haven't managed to get up and running yet.
Croatia-Belgium now is a massive game. I think at the start of the tournament, I want to say I didn't say this. I didn't have Belgium or Croatia top in the group. But this is now a crunch tie. One of these two sides is going out. And probably, actually, they're both at the end of their sort of tail with this side, whereas Croatia look completely different. Croatia are sort of like invigorated by the fact that they're an older side. This is our last ride. Belgium are sort of like, this is our last ride. Let's just go out however we go out.
Look at the contrasting opinions or comments from their leading players. When Croatia drew their first game against Morocco, you heard Luka Modric come out and say, we need to be better, we're going to do better, our best players need to perform. And you hear Kevin de Bruyne talk about their team being too old. I know that interview was done before, but it's just very, very different messages that are being sent out from both camps. And that game, that last group game, is now huge. You would back Croatia, who are 4 years removed from making the World Cup final, to go and win that because they want to be here, whereas Belgium don't. So it's going to be interesting. The group's opened up, and we need to give some credit to Morocco as well, who made Belgium look bad. And you see an invigorated Hakim Ziyech. Where's this Hakim Ziyech been for the last 2 years? And we've already talked about how solid they are defensively. So yeah, I think either Croatia or Belgium are going to go out, and Morocco will be the other team to qualify from this group.
I'm certainly looking forward to the game. I know that because we've said it already, but both teams have pure quality. I mean, you look at Modric, he's going to go down as one of the top midfielders in European football over the last 20 years. And then you've got De Bruyne on the other side that is, for me, one of the best players in the world right now. But it will be interesting. And I do agree that it is contrasting kind of comments, but again, Kevin should know better because he knows that this will be one of the things that will be brought up no matter what goes on, however long ago the interview was. Should know better. But there's an element of that I kind of like, that I like that what you get from Kevin De Bruyne is he doesn't mix his words. And we want more authenticity and more people not giving you your bog standard answers and kind of telling you how it is. But does that add to, is probably to the detriment of the spirit in the camp, so maybe not the greatest move.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube, and for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app, and for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.